All right, let's put that right there. Yeah, perfect. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to highlight the quality of a product from Geissele and 3 different ways to set it up. So I have a lot of experience on the URGI platform. I fired somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 to 5,500 rounds through 5 different rifles. Shot a lot of my friends' rifles. They shot mine before buying their own. And I've put together probably about 4 of these rifles for people. With that said, I found that it's a very reliable platform and a platform that's catered to optimizing it for whatever setup you want to put it in. So whether you're a dot shooter, an LPVO shooter, or a precision shooter, you can really take this 14.5 out and do a lot of competent work with it. You can either put 55 grain, 62 grain, use it as an assaulter setup. You can put some specialized rounds in it and have like a jack of all trades rifle, or you can put those 77 grain precision rounds in there and really get some work done. So I'm going to showcase 3 rifles, my rifle, and 2 of my really close friends allowed me to borrow their rifles for this review, and shoot them. So I'm very, very thankful to them. Let's get started. All right, first way we're going to talk about setting up a URGI is the quick, fast, light, easy setup. One of the reasons I like this thing so much is because you have such a light starting weight that you can add a lot of stuff to it and really customize it for whatever mission set or job you're throwing it into. So it's good for pretty much anything you need it for. You can use a 14.5 in confined spaces to do CQC work, or mid to long range work, or, you know, recce work, or whatever you want to call it. All these wonderful professional applications for this thing. And for the regular dude, you can use it for a lot of stuff as well. This setup is built for speed. Have a basic Surefire dual fuel pressure switch, you know, the SR07. Very clean work up top with the wire isolation there, wire management, whatever it is. And my buddy set this up to shred with. Do a lot of close work with, move really quickly, be very effective, and if needed, it's not too heavy, so it can be taken a lot of places, which is good. It's a smart way to set stuff up. This setup will work for most people. So light pressure switch, hand stop, you have your little murder TV, or you can get Comp M4, Comp M5, or a micro dot or something like that, whatever you prefer. Geisley SSA trigger. It's got a bad lever on there to make sure reloads are super fast. And, you know, a simple buttstock. Stays light, stays fast, stays effective. It's really fun to use 100 yards and in. 200 yards is about how far I push an EoTech gun, but it's still effective and I do like it. So what's really cool is this Hose Mad sticker. You put that on there, you become a CQC monster. You get plus 25 charisma, plus 10 strength, especially because the Rhodesian bush camo, and plus 25 resilience. Very, very cool. So these light, fast setups are quite nice, very handy, do most things you'll need them to do inside your house, outside of property, professionally, close quarters work out to about 200-300 yards if you're a god with dots and have amazing vision, but 200 yards is my limit. And always have backup irons. So these are the Magpul M-Bus Pros. So that way, if your EoTech goes down because of the battery, or there's a reason you have to take it off, pop those irons up and do work. All right, let's see what this light EoTech setup weighs to the best of our abilities. So you're looking at a 9-pound, 3-ounce gun with a fully loaded magazine of 55 grain ammunition. The next setup we're gonna take a look at is a rifle from another one of my friends. I'm gonna make you Grinder famous. Who took my advice when setting it up, and I actually like it better than mine. We have what I would consider a do-it-all setup. What we have in front of us is a mid-range LPVO with an offset red dot, and I really do love this setup. I think it's probably the best balance between what I went for and what my other friend went for. It's really set up to do a lot of things well, and it does. It's a very light, very quick setup, and it's missing very, very few things. So when he gets back, he'll make those adjustments. But you're looking at a Trijicon 1:6 Credo first focal plane red mill, which is mounted to the rifle in a Badger ordnance mount with an offset red dot mounted directly to the Badger mount with a loophole delta point. And I really do love this setup. It's very, very quick, very easy to transition. And I think this would fit most applications and mission sets, both for a concerned citizen, law enforcement, or military applications. It gives you a lot of capabilities. I really feel the 1:6 is a perfect place to be for a lot of applications without taking anything from you. I also think a first focal plane milliradian setup gets almost everything you need done. Add the canted red dot to it, and you are set. There's really nothing that you have to worry about. Now you'll notice that this setup doesn't have a pressure pad yet for the mod light. This is a mod light PLH V2. Quite bright, by the way. But soon he'll be getting into an SR07 pressure switch for that. And he doesn't really have to worry about irons, in my opinion, though I'm ignorant and put them on everything. But in addition to the 1:6 optic, you have the canted red dot, which allows you to process any threat that would sneak up on you at close range. So what was really cool is we were able to run this optic at 3 or 4 power constantly and then roll this over to engage closer targets or just smack stuff at 100. So we were going from 200 transitioning back to 100, and we were also shooting targets and then switching over and hitting another target with the red dot just to see how fluid the transitions were.
I like that.
And I'm happy to report they're very, very nice. The lower 1/3 mount is where it's at. Very intuitive to use without being completely upright, running around like an idiot, or in an absolute mount where you're kind of a little further down, you're almost uncomfortable. The lower 1/3 mount solves a lot of problems for a lot of people, and the average person, you know, from my experience letting other people run stuff, lower 1/3 fits a vast majority of people without retraining for a 193 or a 22. So you can do stuff standing, you can do stuff supported, you can do stuff prone. It covers all the bases without taking anything away from anything else, which is excellent. And the offset red dot really does give you versatility, which makes me really happy. The majority of the time when I have an LPVO, I'm not at maximum magnification. And what's nice about this one, despite being a 30mm versus a 34, is you don't really feel that tube effect as much. It's very, very nice to be able to take a shot at any power in your 0 be true. 3 power or 4 power is usually where I use these Trijicon Credos or AccuPowers in the first focal plane mill reticles, and it gives me a lot of field of view and accurate engagement, so I feel really, really confident with that. And then if I need to dial it up, I can. So highly recommend this optic. This mount with the offset red dot. Some guys want to use a closed emitter red dot, completely understand. Preference and mission sets are going to dictate your equipment. I think most people will be good with this setup. He also has a Spikes tactical blower. It's pretty solid. We had no issues with it. Geisley SSAE trigger and the CTR stock. Also, he's got a bonus sling that I received from a mail thing. I contacted Blue Force Gear back in the day and I said, hey, it showed up, do you want to charge me? And they're like, nah, it's straight. So this was kind of a shipping thing, but it matches perfectly. So he's entertaining getting a SOP mod in OD green to really tie the rifle together.
Yeah, man, it really tied the room together.
Honestly, if you're setting one of these up, this is going to be my optic recommendation. Get a 1:6 that you like with an offset red dot in this mount specifically, and you are off to the races. Absolutely solid. And he's been really happy with this setup. Everyone that runs it really likes it, and they find it very, very easy to use. So if you need a jack of all trades setup, highly recommend this. I'm more of an SSA guy, but the SSAE is perfectly fine. All right, my buddy's URGI with the 1:6 offset delta point and 30 rounds of Mark 318 Mod O. Weighs in at 10 pounds, 0.9 ounces. Onto a heavy, more precision application setup with my URGI. So it's good that the muzzle device accepts the Surefire series of suppressors, one of the most rugged and trusted suppressors out there. And Surefire also offers a lot of lengths. This is the RC2, which is a 6-inch. They have I think a 4-inch and a 2-inch suppressor, and there's also, which I wouldn't use, a Warden on this setup. A Warden's more for a muzzle brake, but you could run all of those on that muzzle device, which makes me very happy, Panda. You know, hand stop, Surefire light instead of the mod light. That's gonna change though. We have a Vortex Razor 1 to 10 in the same Badger mount, and I will also be hanging a red dot off of this just to make it that much heavier, because I just can't stay away from them thick girls.
So I peeped the ass out and I was like, damn, she thick as fuck.
And we have the Geisley SSA attached to the UBR stock. Now this is the old UBR stock, so there's a little bit more of a cheek weld here, which I like. It's a little chonkier, and it actually fits my fat ass face pretty well because I have a solid jaw. So this application is more centered around supported or prone shooting. The 1 to 10 really lets me optimize the precision capabilities of this barrel. These barrels are very, very good. Not only are the barrels very rigid, they're optimized for M855A1, which means you can run regular stuff a lot harder. It's going to deal with suppressor use a lot better. These barrels are very, very good. They're also very, very accurate. With this Mark 318 Motto ammo, I was able to zero this very quickly in less than 10 rounds, and then I took the suppressor off and checked with 4 rounds, and it only shoots slightly to the left. And I mean an inch to the left at 50 yards. So I took the can off and fired it, and I was able to make hits out to 200 reliably just with a very basic hold. So very, very accurate platform, and this optic setup plus the suppressor really gives you a lot of capabilities. And for me, this is not that heavy, as well as some of the other people I've allowed to shoot it. They say, wow, it's heavy, but then when they shoot it, they run it just fine. Definitely not ideal if you're used to really light platforms or just dot shooting or anything. But if you wanted to do something similar to the Garand Thumb setup, the only thing I'm missing is a D-ball or something on the front to complete this with the offset red dot, and my rifle would weigh exactly what his does. Actually, probably a little more with the UBR stock. The reason I set this up this way is with the suppressor stock, it is perfectly balanced. The pivot point in the balance is right here, which is where it should be. And then this optic just added weight to the top, so it didn't shift the balance any. She's not light, but remarkably capable out to a lot of competent engagement distances. And with the increased magnification, it does give you those increased engagement range capabilities. A little note on this, by the way, not a true 1X, and the eye relief at 10X is really rough.
Damn, like, what is this eye relief?
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
So I'm still compiling time behind it and trying to grow with the optic, so I'm not going to do a review just yet. And I'm sure I've said that in the review of this rifle, but just understand that there's some limitations to this that all the people gushing over it didn't get. The 9-hole reviews is probably the most accurate review of this optic. The disadvantages that they've highlighted and the pros that they've highlighted are completely spot on. There's a lot of other stuff out there that's just incorrect and set my expectations way too high. So when I got the optic, I had an unfair slant when using it and get used to it while running the rifle. So I was really kind of let down by the fisheye effect at 1X and the eye relief restriction at 10X. So I'll get into that when I do the review. Just a note to the viewer that this thing is great, but it's not everybody told the truth when they were doing their reviews. I'll say that much. But all that aside, very, very slick, accurate, awesome setup. It is heavy, but with the suppressor, the SSA, and the glass, this thing makes shooting very, very easy. So in closing, the URGI is an absolute awesome setup. Can you do this with other rifles? Yes. Is this the jack of all trades rifle? In my mind, yes. The way that it's set up and the components that it comes with, the quality of the barrel and everything, despite its bendy boy status with a thin rail, is, in my mind, one of the most optimized uppers you can get for the price point. I know some people are gonna argue you can get a BCM, you can get this, you can get that, and it's gonna be just as good. I don't think so. And I am a simp for Geisley. HK and Geisley, I'm gay for Geisley, all right?
You are gay.
But with this, the capabilities that it gives you and the quality is up there. You're not really gonna find people complaining about their URGI. In fact, you're gonna see a lot of guys out there with URGIs saying it's one of their favorite rifles. It's set up to be reliable, so there is a little more punch, but with adjustments in the rear to your buffer spring and buffer, you can make this a very, very smooth shooter. It's very, very easy to put a suppressor on this, to run it with any type of ammo. I've had no accuracy issues whatsoever with this thing, and every time I press the trigger, it's a blast. I can confidently say, having fired 5 different samples of these rifles and different configurations, that this is possibly one of the best options you have out there at the price point. Now, I know some guys are gonna say, but what about the Knights 14.5? That's a $1,700 upper, almost $1,800 realistically. And that's like a higher tier to me than what Geisley is. So Geisley's like right below the highest tier in my mind. And there's other manufacturers out there that offer a good product. But just like my friend who came to me and asked, I need one AR, I'm not gonna have a bunch of them, but I want one really good one that's gonna last me a long time. And it was easy for me to point at this URGI, and he couldn't be happier with it. It's very adaptable. It's an excellent platform. You can do this with other rifles. I'm not gonna say this is the only rifle that does this or any of that other fanboy shit that some people will say. But what I am gonna say is the quality is consistent, the capabilities are consistent, the excellence of this barrel coupled with the ergonomics and how light it is out of the gate really allows you to maximize the potential based on what application you want to place it in. Highly recommend this rifle. I just want to showcase a few different setups, and this is one of the platforms where I actually legitimately have experience on multiple different rifles of the same manufacturer, so I wanted to forward that experience and, you know, float a couple different ideas your way. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.